guys, I'm DanSperry, and this is volume 2 of the stage card manipulation techniques. We're gonna go into deeper, more intermediate card productions and things like that. What you already learned in volume 1 is the basics. Now we're gonna go into a little bit more in-depth of single cards, more split fan productions, things like that. So if you're ready, grab your deck and come with me. All right, now that you guys know what it looks like, let's get into the actual working of this stuff. So we're gonna start out with back palming several cards. If you remember how to back palm one card, we're basically gonna be doing the same thing, except now adding more. So you have the one card back palmed and you're producing it. Now you're gonna wanna start to add 3 to 5 cards. This is the Cardini single production. We're gonna just use 5 cards. Just to start learning right now. Now it's important when you're actually putting this into practice to remember how many cards you have back palmed, because there's nothing more embarrassing than producing all these cards and not knowing how many you have and all of a sudden run out, or oh, that was my last card, I just threw it away, and you know, so keep that in mind. So now you have your stack of 3 to 5 cards to start out with. To have a multiple production sequence with a single production is going to look like this. Now, the way you do it is same thing, you pinch back here. I use my knuckles. Most guys should use the meat in between the first and second knuckle. However, I don't really have much meat in between there. Here on my hands, my fingers. So as I get down to less and less cards, they're going to slip out a lot easier. So I actually use a Shimada technique, which is by clipping them deeper in your hand. So you're in a deeper back clip of the back palming. You always want to keep your hand moving when you're doing this. You don't want to stand stationary because you're going to catch flashes of the white and things like that. And it's okay to have a little bit peeking out. That's normal. But this is also the reason why they're flesh colored. So the more you kind of keep your hand moving, the more it should you know, be disguised and camouflaged. And also, if you're going to be producing cards, you're going to want to be reaching anyways. You know, you're producing the cards aren't necessarily coming to you. So don't be greedy. So here's the breakdown of what's happening. You have your stack of cards back here, and you're going to take your thumb and pull the card clear of the first clip. Your finger's going to come around as this comes in front. You can pause at this point because you're going to want the audience to applaud for you, and this will give you some coverage of the cards that are behind it in back palm back here. So when you're here, you can pause and throw the card into your box, table, hat, in the assistant's mouth, or on the table, whatever you like, and then you produce the next card. Same thing. You can pause, give it a toss, but as soon as this card is released, start moving. Just keep it going fairly fluidly. Don't be like, break it down, yo. No more ghetto magic. Can we get over that trend, please, white guys? Thanks. You're gonna want to just keep producing, toss it, produce, toss, and where are we? Okay. Now on the last card, like I said on the first clip, it's kind of a neat little stylized production to kick it out at your fingertips like that for your last production. Kind of a neat little flourishy move. So it's not just the standard one more and there you go. So that's kind of general technique in back palming. And start small, work your way up. You know, especially with these manipulation cards, since they're the special thinner cards, they're a little bit more durable. You're going to be able to work your way up to an enormous amount of cards to be able to back palm. One tip though that I should say is as you start to get more and more cards back palmed and producing more and more cards, you might find yourself getting excited that look at this new thing that I can do. So you're going to be like just firing these off really fast. Don't do that. That's a habit that you got to fight, because you want the audience to see that you have nothing in your hand. You don't want them to think that you're just holding a stack of cards and you're just spraying them everywhere, because that can happen. So when you are producing, just produce, and you can move fast and keep it going, but give the audience an opportunity to appreciate what you're doing and wait for them to applaud. If you watch a lot of the really good card manipulators out there from like, Norm Nielsen, Channing Pollock, a lot of these guys that are on YouTube and stuff, you can certainly watch and learn from them as they use their card production techniques to wait, receive the applause, and keep going from there. This might happen to you. Here's a way to fix it. If you're producing cards and they get away from you like that, stop, grab the card that you just produced, and just simply tuck the cards back into back palm. That was totally unplanned, but it will happen. Murphy's Law kind of thing. So just simply take the card, clip it back, and take this one away. And now you're set to keep going. So that's some back palming technique. Just keep practicing and have fun with that one. Yay! Okay, right now we're gonna learn the perfect production. This production isn't all that perfect, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So, this is the production where the magician takes a stack of cards. You have them classic palmed in your hand, like this. And you kind of have your hand rotated back of the hand towards the audience. And what you're doing is you're pushing out a card like that and producing it at your fingertips. The whole idea is to make it look like you're grabbing a little bit like this. You want to be careful of your angles, not to rotate your hand too far this way because obviously, dead giveaway. So you want your hand over, kind of like with the regular back palming. When you first produce this card, you are now a little bit safer with your angles. But I've always thought this is just such an awkward way to hold your hand. Who holds their hand like this unless you've been in some sort of serious accident? And you let the card drop, and the technique is you push the card out with your thumb, and as soon as you get a little tab, your index finger uses the first knuckle to pivot and push it out like this. This type of production is actually more difficult to do with these thinner manipulation cards. It's better to, if you can, switch out the deck, if you so choose to do this production, for a more standard deck because they are thicker and they can pop a lot easier because you want it to really pop out. You want the cards to really pop out, but like I said, it's a little bit more difficult with a manipulator's deck like this. Basically, the card is being held, pushed up against your finger, your middle finger with your index finger. The thumb just kind of frames it in and keeps it from, flailing all over the place. So it's, again, same idea with regular back palm, is as soon as you're clear, as this card goes down, you move and you can kick out the other one. And that's the perfect production. This is a nice production to do, not so much like this, because like I said, I think this is just such an awkward position. It's a nice production to do in front. And if you can learn to do this with an opposite hand, this isn't such a bad production to do in front. And if you don't do that, in front like this, to kick out cards like this if you so choose. I'm not really a big fan of card productions like this because this just looks like you're holding something in your hand, and there really is no way to disprove that in a very simple fashion. But if you can palm some in your opposite hand and you're producing single cards up here, you can kick out one of these every once in a while and make a nice little alternating sort of dealio routine. And it's a nice little, paints a nice little picture of the stereotypical magician producing cards. But that's totally up to you. Again, just really quick, just to break break that down and recap again. Your palm, your thumb pushes out the card, your index finger reaches over and pulls it out. Keeps it nice like this. You throw it away as soon as you produce the next card. Now there are guys, like again, you're gonna wanna probably be tempted to do this fast. Anybody knows that you can hide cards and do this. So what you don't wanna start doing is doing stuff like this. What are you doing? You're just giving away the method. So again, just kind of try to keep yeah, don't do that. Keep it smooth and give them a minute to appreciate what you're doing. You're producing cards out of the air, and that's the perfect production. Okie dokie. Okay, now we're gonna get into my favorite type of productions, and that's split fanning. I've always loved split fan productions. I thought they were really cool because instead of just producing a little dainty card, you're producing a whole huge fan of cards, you're throwing them away, and you're producing another huge fan of cards. I just think that's so much more powerful than just so this is how you do split fans. You're in back palm, like before, like you're gonna do single productions, but you're not. You're going to rotate the deck in front, do a one-handed fan, get your finger in a break, re-pivot the deck to the back of your hand, and make these cards look like a whole fan, throw them away. Hopefully they won't notice there's not as many cards, they won't, and then you flip it back out again, and rinse and repeat. So here's how to do it. You have your cards in back palm. You're almost like you're doing the pivot move. You use these two knuckles as an axis, and you flip it out. You get your thumb down here and you spread your fan. Now you want this fan to be as huge as you can get it, so really try and squeeze one of those suckers out. So squeeze that out nice and big, and from behind, this is what you're doing. Since you have your index finger free, you're gonna go up somewhere towards the top, close and re-grip, but still try and push these out to make a nice fan, and then you kick these back into back palm. So slowing down, that is just nice and sloppy. So basically this is what you're gonna do. Here, and under the motion of throwing the deck away is when you re-grip and re-back palm, okay? And try and get these cards to look like as many as you possibly can. Now, in real speed, you get your fan, you throw them away, you reproduce. And again, after you're into back palm, I like to give just a little kick of my wrist to show there's no white there, so meaning no cards, and then reproduce again. Throw away, reproduce, throw away, and down to 2. There's a neat little move with back palming that I like to throw in every once in a while too, which is basically, again, like you're doing the turnover pivot, but you're not. What you're doing is, as you're moving, you pivot over like about 3/4 of the way, and then spread the fan and pivot back over again. And it almost looks like you're reaching out and these cards are just kind of materializing out of nowhere. And from stage, it can look pretty neat to be doing your card routine and be in motion, kind of rotate them over and produce your fan like that. And then balancing, using your finger as a kind of stacker, index finger as a stacker, doing the re-grip, throwing them away, reproducing your fan, throwing them away, and so on and so forth. There is a method that is kind of a different version that you can do if you are having trouble producing a full fan, re-gripping and all that, and that's the Tenkai method, which was taught to me a long time ago. And this is how I started, was with the Tenkai method. This was taught to me by one of the old timers at the local magic club. And that's basically you just push out and just make a small fan, which basically puts your finger right in position to get your break. to regrip. And it still looks kind of like the little itty bitty fan, which is fine. This is fine if you're just learning. But the nice way is to look like you just produced a huge fan and get rid of them and keep going from there. So that's split fans, and have fun with that one too. Here is an extra little bonus move that you can do. Like I said, once you know how many cards you're producing, once you get down to the last card, even instead of just kind of kicking it out, there is a rotating kind of move that is to display that your hand is empty on either side. I don't do this move for my own personal reasons, but it's kind of fun if you want to play around with it. So you're down to your last card in back palm, and basically what it's supposed to look like is you're showing this side of your hand, this side of your hand, and there's your last card, and you've produced it. Whoopee! The way that it works is when you're down to the last card in back palm, you're going to, almost like you're going to produce it. You basically are pivoting and working this and letting the card kind of slide around either side of your hand. So you're here, you bring it in, and as you turn your hand over, this is going to look really terrible doing it slow, as you turn your hand over, you're just kind of maneuvering, still keeping it clipped here, and you're just going to slide it down, turn it over again, and that's basically the move. Now obviously you don't want to do it like this in performance. This is one of those misdirection of the big motion covers the smaller motion kind of things. You move your hand around like this, show it empty, and you move your hand, you move your arm, I should say, as your hand rotates. So this is going to kind of help break up the visual of possibly flashing. So under the cover of rotating your wrist like this, you're also going to rotate your whole arm and pivot it that way. So once the card is in back palm, you pivot large and give them a second to pause so they understand that's the back of your hand. Rotate it back over and then kick that last one out like that. And then you can, in your face. And you should really say that too, by the way. It's It's a panty dampener. If you want it, use it. Okay, so that concludes the second video on card manipulations. Really quick, as you are practicing this, and when I talk about routining and stuff like that, you're going to want to be thinking about structuring some kind of routine. Usually and traditionally, card manipulations have always been done in a routine type setting. The same way like a figure skater or a gymnast puts together a routine to music. In stage magic, this is something, and I mean, you can do it in close-up too, in formal close-up settings. I've seen guys do this, but with stage, you have the whole other medium of adding music to your performance to make it even stronger. And so you might want to be playing around with and thinking about different types of music that you can use to enhance your routine and have an idea of what you want to do in this routine. This also applies to really any type of magic, not necessarily stage or close-up or anything. You want to be able to have almost like a band has a set list. Have a set list for your card routine so you're not just randomly making stuff up as you go along. This way you can plan around your music, you can plan around your loads, which we'll get into in the next video, of body loading cards so you can keep stealing more and under misdirection to keep producing more and more cards so you're not just limited to a single deck. You're going to want to take these things that you're learning and write them down on paper and kind of get a list of what you want to do and rearrange it. Practice, you know, with different routines involved, going from the single productions into some split fans, and then from split fans going into the continuing fan, making the packet vanish disappear. You want to start your routine strong, always start strong, and kind of bring the audience up to a certain point, to a certain level. And you can add little bumps along the way of crescendos. Imagine just like as a composer puts together a piece of music, and you know, it takes you on this kind of journey through the routine, and at the end it builds and it builds and it builds to a recognizable climax. You want your routine, your act, to build to an obvious climax, because sometimes you have to, in a way, take the audience by the hand and literally spoon feed them, spoon with them, spoon feed them. You take the audience with you to a nice, with a nice strong opening, and you can take them along with different ups and downs and climaxes, and then build the act to an obvious ending. You want the act to build to a clear and obvious ending, a big ta-da, for lack of a better reference. Because a lot of times you'd be surprised how audiences might not realize that's the end, or they might not know that something is over and they don't know how to applaud and they don't know how to react. That's why you want to build your routine to an obvious climax. So let's say you're just doing split fans, and then boom, 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 lots of double hand single productions, and then 2 fans, and you throw them, and now you're in a position of love me. That's the end, and that's what's kind of different about stage magic, is you have the ability to routine to a certain degree a really powerful type of routine. It can be very artistic and very dramatic and lots of fun to do. I'm not saying that you can't do that with close-up, but stage provides you with a very controlled environment that you can just play in, and it's a lot of fun, and you feel like a rock star sometimes. Even though magicians, we just wish we were rock stars. We're not really rock stars. But that's something that you're going to be able to do as you get into stage magic and manipulation and other forms of more controlled environmental routining. And it's something that you should really look forward to, because it's a lot of fun. So thanks for checking out this video, and we'll see you guys at the next one. I'm DanSperry, and look what I can do.